Yella Gaines has the gold. World champion is Yella Gaines.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to episode 3 of the All In Triathlon podcast. We are again at ART HQ. I am laughing because Yella always takes a piss out of me for saying,
Alrighty, guys.
Alrighty, guys. That's going to be our catchphrase.
Yours.
It's mine. It's ours. We're in this together.
Okay,
It's
cool.
the AIT catchphrase. Alrighty, guys. That's when you know the podcast is about to start. But before we jump into our guest, we are joined, obviously by you, Yella. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Aaron.
That was a bit awkward. Maybe I'm a little bit nervous because of who we've got sat between us. I don't know. We've got the big boss, or my big boss.
Your big boss is here, both in the house and at work, no?
Yes. Well, yeah, kind of. Well, I don't know if she's the big boss in work, but we are joined none other than my wife and Olympian, Commonwealth Games medalist, world champion, European champion, an MBE, member of the British Empire, the first MBE. Lucy Charles Barclay is not an MBE, I don't think. What else are we missing? World Triathlon Athletes Commission head rep or
chair of the committee.
Chair of the committee. You were vice chair of the British Olympic Association Athletes Committee. What am I missing?
Head coach of the Ascent
Academy in Australia. Just an all-round overachiever, but welcome.
You guys must not have much time at home, not together. Like, she's doing so much.
But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. It's great to finally be at AIT HQ. I love what you've done with the place.
That looks a bit familiar, maybe.
What do you think? Does it look? How does this set up look?
I'm just a bit sad that we do have some really nice pictures, but they fell off the wall. So I need to get them up so that we can update AIT HQ.
Yeah, well, we are only renting here in Wollongong at the moment, so we can't. Sorry, not in Wollongong.
Are we in Wollongong?
We're on the Gold Coast, but we can't. Well, I don't think we're meant to put up pictures on the wall, are we? Or like frames, or
we're not. But I'm going to have to relent because I can't bear the plain white walls. So we might just have to put a little nail in.
You can fix that easy, no?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but well, before we get on to you, Non, Yella, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. I'm ready for a hard swim later from Coach Non. But no, good. I've actually my first proper bigger training week. Yeah, that's it. Life is just the same. Nothing that much. You?
Good. Are you feeling prepared, or are you feeling ready to take on your first? I mean, what? Sorry, wait. What was I about to say? I'm kidding. Yella's face. I was
my first threshold swim.
No. I was pretending like I was about to drop your race calendar. Your first
T100 Gold Coast.
Yeah. Well, that's women's only.
Yeah,
Damn.
Where did you if it is?
I think a little bit went over your head, but I was trying to allude to the fact of what your first race might actually be and whether you're ready for it. But
not ready yet, but it's still a while, so we got time.
When are you going to announce it?
I'm actually not sure.
Why?
It's not really a secret or anything. I don't know.
Why haven't you announced it?
I haven't said it yet.
Okay.
It will come. In due time, it will come.
You're just really trying to build up this hype for your first ever
T100
race.
Of 2027.
Yeah.
Or 6 even.
2026.
No, but I'm good. Yeah. And what about you? You lasted quite a bit longer yesterday in the crit.
I'm actually really embarrassed.
Why?
I'm really embarrassed. The first time ever I've pulled the Olympic card.
Yeah. Tell me, what do you mean? Because I saw this on the shared document,
the Google document.
Docs.
You finally found where to find.
Yeah. But I didn't know what you showed your tattoo or.
No. It's worse than that. So, as listeners will have known, I've lasted 5 minutes in the first race, 20 minutes last week, and I lasted about 50 minutes last night. But I was swinging in the last 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes of what I lasted, which was 20 minutes still to go in the race. I was absolutely swinging. And I guess this guy was also swinging and also hurting. So I was basically fighting him. Well, he didn't really know it, but I just really wanted to stay at the back. One, because I felt like it's the right thing to do if you feel like you're about to get dropped, because then you're not going to get anyone else dropped. But also, I just wanted to stay at the back in this moment. Anyway, he said something. He got like quite angry at me, and I don't know why. I think so. I'll explain what I think he was referring to.
So you're basically fighting for last wheel.
Kind of, but I think I'll say at the end what I think he was meaning, but I didn't know this at the time. But he was like getting quite angry at me, and then he said something like, he said, "Pull your head in, mate, and learn how to race." And this is like some 20-year-old kid, probably cyclist, and he's strong. He's riding A grade, and he's getting around 50 minutes. But I just had to say to him, I'm like, mate, I've been to 2 Olympics. I know how to race. And
Did you feel bad after saying
I
that?
felt really bad after it. Yeah.
Instant regret.
Oh no, not instant, because I was still. It took about 20 minutes for the regret to kick in. I was still a bit fuming. After the race for about 5 minutes, until the lactic went down from about 20 back down to baseline of about 1, and then I finally was thinking clearly and was like, oh, I didn't have to be a dick, did I? But to be fair, I mean, I think so. In the end, why he was getting annoyed is I think he thought that I was lapped, which I wasn't at this point, but I think he thought that I was lapped, and so when there's lapped riders, they do become a little bit annoying because they hang at the back, but you don't know sometimes if they're last wheel or not. And so if you're trying to roll back to the back, and then you roll behind the person that's been lapped, sometimes they then try and pull out to get out of the race and they leave you a gap. So I think what he thought is that I was lapped at that moment and that I was then getting in the way of him and the race, which wasn't the case. I was lapped about 5 laps later. But in that moment, I was still part of the race.
That went quick.
Yeah, well, that was why we were both swinging. So I think he got lapped. He got dropped about a lap later. So
Yeah, but you must have been at the back for a while if he hasn't seen you and thought you were left, no?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, but Brando and Hauser and Kai were there, and we were talking about it after. I just explained my embarrassment of what I said, and they were like, "Well, that guy didn't roll a turn either. I don't know what he's talking about." But yeah, it was a bigger improvement on last week's crit race. I still got room to improve, I think. And Brando doesn't know this, but our head-to-head battle, he's gone in front now of 2-1 of lasting longer. So the first week, I obviously got him.
Yeah.
Last week, he got me. And now it's 2-1. If I
Got you yesterday.
he lasted a bit. Well, he lasted the whole hour.
Yeah.
So it's now 2-1. If I had won last night, because he doesn't know we're in a race, that would have been it. I would have won 2-1, best of 3. But it's now a best of 5. Yeah. So I'm not sure whether Brando listens to this, but if he doesn't, but other people that know him do, please don't tell him, because I don't want him to know. Next time we're racing together, because it might give him a bit of extra motivation. But we're going to get Ben to allow you to come.
Narang. I want to do Narang.
Narang. I think that one's for you.
That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it might make it harder for you to survive longer.
No, see, well, maybe, but we're a team, remember?
True.
And so
You're just going to be sandbagging him up that hill, though.
Yeah, so as a teammate, he has to look out for me and not not put the hammer
But I was
down.
actually impressed that you lasted longer because it's way harder of a course, no?
Well, it's
Or
harder.
it's because there's less wind there, maybe.
Well, it's less wind. One, I think I was having bad legs last week. That's why, because like I say 5 minutes that first week. I mean, you guys went away. I don't know. It's like you were in a breakaway and then I was in the bunch right until the end, pretty much, until you guys slapped us. But like, I wouldn't necessarily call that getting dropped. Last week was a clean drop after 20 minutes. And I think I had quite bad legs. Well, then Power doesn't say so. Power was actually quite high, but I felt pretty awful last week. But then also this week, because it's up and so it's about a minute up and then a minute and a half down. Oh, well.
That doesn't make sense.
That does not make sense at all, does it? It's about 45 seconds up and then I don't know, about that down, and then there's like a little bit of flat down the bottom. But you basically recover on the down, don't you?
Yeah.
And if you've got a big group, you position yourself well, starting the hill. If you come from like 10th place, like momentum rolls up quite a long way. So if you position quite well, you can actually cheat your way around quite a bit until attacks start flying. Then it's quite hard. But yeah. And I think I just better legs, better tactical riding maybe. But
Was it a sprint finish?
no, some kid got away with about 2 laps to go.
Oh, wow.
Kid, I say kid, he was probably 20. No, he just got back from junior nationals. I think
Oh,
he
that's
got
impressive.
5th in the junior nationals. So he's quite a strong
Yeah,
rider,
he's
obviously.
good.
But no, he got away with I think going up the hill with 2 laps to go. Yeah, but we had a good turnout, obviously, of triathletes. So Brandon Copeland, Matt Hauser, Kai Wild, Hunter Anderson, young kid I'm part of the Aspire squad. And there's always a few more. But what do we have to do to get Ben to let you to come out?
Yeah, I don't know. He said maybe February. I don't know. When is the next Nerang?
Well, not next week, the week after.
That's February, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe
There
that
we go.
one.
That's a good one. That's a good preparation for your first your first race coming up, I think.
First 70.3 of the year.
Cool. All right. Before we get into Yunnan, a YouTube update?
Yeah, I haven't checked.
You haven't checked?
How far are we along our 1,000 subscribers?
Our first milestone is 500.
Yeah.
Because then you can start charging people for memberships.
What?
So we have about 30 subscribers to go until we can start.
Until we charge you all for memberships or what?
Pretty much, yeah. Money's tight. I mean, the CFO sat right next to me here. So the chief financial officer says I got to start pulling my weight a bit more.
Yeah, indeed.
So YouTube is the way to that. But yeah, we are at 475 subscribers. So 25-ish away from 500 and obviously
almost
500.
halfway.
Yeah, almost halfway. And about 3,850 watch hours to go. So we have 150 watch hours so far. We still have another 3,800 watch hours to go. So I don't think many of you guys here are turning on your TVs and just letting it run all day when you go to work. I don't know.
Maybe we should buy some more laptops and... once we're at the 4,000 hours, the money will roll in. So
True.
we can buy some laptops and just let it play the whole
Financial
day.
officer, can we do that?
It's got to be initial investment for returns.
Yeah, you got to invest to
make money.
Reap the
Spend money to make money.
Yeah, that's what I tell Kate all the time. When I spot something else that I probably barely use.
Well, kind of. I guess like you spend a lot of money on your new altitude setup.
Yeah.
And so that's spending money to make money. How
Yeah,
much is an
haven't set it up
altitude camp?
yet.
Oh, you haven't set it up yet.
I haven't set it up yet. But yeah, an altitude camp depends where you go, I guess. But yeah, a few altitude camps and my altitude room is paid back. But I'm probably setting it up next Thursday together with Tom,
your
Kate's sister's
brother-in-law.
Yeah,
kind of.
brother-in-law, kind of. He's helping me.
Non, you're smarter than both of us.
What are you saying? No. Go
So,
on.
Kate's sister's boyfriend is what to Yalla?
Well, officially nothing because they're not officially related because they're not married. But I would say brother-in-law.
Yeah, brother-in-law. Yeah.
I'll refer to him as my brother-in-law.
And I get he strikes me as someone that's a bit more handy on the tools than you are.
That's not hard though, but yes, he's a handyman.
Okay.
He did quite a bit of renovations in their own. They bought like investment property and had some renovations in that and stuff. So, but I'm very bad. So yeah, I will just giving him the tools.
Yeah.
Make him a coffee. That's my plan.
Yeah.
On the day we're gonna install this. But yeah, that'll be cool to do.
Alrighty, guys, just want to take a quick moment to tell you about our nutrition sponsor for the year, Precision Fuel and Hydration. Nutrition is one of, if not the biggest performance limiter in middle and long distance racing. You can have all the fitness in the world, but if your electrolytes and fueling are off, your race can fall apart fast. This year, Precision Fuel and Hydration are the official electrolyte sponsor for all Ironman races globally, which is huge. It means you can dial in your electrolyte balance in training, knowing that exactly what you've been using in training is what you'll get on course come race day. No guesswork, no surprises, just consistency and confidence in your fueling plan.
So if you're serious about getting your nutrition right, head to Precision Fuel and Hydration and use the code All In Triathlon for 15% off your first order. Fuel well, race smart, and go all in.
All right, shall we go?
Yeah, it feels a bit weird for me interviewing my wife. So
Yeah, because also the questions you put on the document, like I wasn't very impressed with them. I think just because you know too much. So
well, that's it. Probably that's why I was kind of getting you to.
yeah,
get
but I
some-
wanted to start with like a bit more the beginning, like how you got into triathlon, because I believe you were a very good runner as well. So at one point you had to make a choice, I guess.
Yeah, so I only started triathlon when I was 19. I was studying at the University of Birmingham at the time and had gone to university as a runner because the university had a good academic side, but also a really strong cross-country and athletics team. So yeah, I went to Birmingham, but was injured the first sort of year that I was there. I used to swim as a kid, so sort of got back into swimming a little bit so I could keep fit. And that is when the triathlon coach there, Steve Lumley, kind of approached me and said, "You're never going to be a world-class runner, but I think we could make you a world-class triathlete."
Oh, well, it was right.
And he sort of lured me in. So that's how I started.
So what year was this?
2008, probably. And
So 5 years in, you were world champion.
yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you trained with Birmingham University to start with.
Yes.
When did you go to Leeds?
So I graduated from Birmingham in 2010, and at the time, I was like, well, I'm not ready to commit fully to triathlon, but also don't really know what I want to do for a career. So I worked a few part-time jobs. I worked in a bike shop with Brotherton Cycles. They were my first ever bike sponsor. And I worked part-time at the university sports scholarship department. And then I just did a bit of training. And then after 9 months or so, my coach decided he was moving to Malaysia. And so I had to make a decision. And fortunately, I had connections up in Leeds and went up for a visit and they said, yeah, come up. So I thought I'll go up and give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, then I'll have to get a real job. But yeah, moved up there and kind of never looked back. And it really was an eye-opening experience for me going to Leeds and being sort of thrown straight into the Brownlee training environment. They definitely sort of didn't make any concessions and you just got on with it. And I think that first year I spent most of it pretty delirious trying to keep up. But they were good in that, there's quite a few hills that Alistair would push me up because I couldn't keep up with the group.
That's nice of him.
So yeah, they'd probably take it in turns to push me up the hill. But quickly I was left to fend for myself in that they knew I could keep up, even if it killed me. So yeah, the first year was a really steep learning curve, like just learning what it takes to train to be an elite triathlete. And it probably took just over a year for the performances to sort of start coming off the back of that change in environment.
Jumping forward a little bit here, and we'll go back to your actual triathlon career, but because you just touched on it then, how much do you battle with now being a coach and seeing some of the stuff that you did? And I'm assuming as a coach now, you would never prescribe stuff like that. But do you battle with it a little bit and go, but maybe that's kind of part of the parcel of developing athletes? Yeah,
I actually find it really difficult because back then there was no load management, no load monitoring. Nobody knew what they were doing, or you weren't keeping track on a weekly basis. I think I used to write a note sometimes in my diary. I rode 2 hours today, but I don't know. I left the door at 12 and I got back at 2. You don't actually know how much you were riding, how far you were riding, how hard that was. I didn't have a power meter or a bike computer until 2017. So we were kind of just going out there, loving what we're doing, enjoying what we're doing, and just having fun. And nobody was really tracking that. And I am really conscious now, the coach, of overanalyzing things, not allowing athletes too much freedom in how much they're doing. But at the same time, because we can manage load, if something happens, if they get a niggle or they get injured down the line, automatically the physio and the medical team go back and look at the load that they've done, and that becomes kind of the prime sort of reason for potentially why they've got injured. So it's good in some ways, but it's bad in other ways, because I think sometimes it just sort of takes that element of adventure out of it. And actually, was that why we were good? We were training 30 hours a week and probably doing some crazy stuff. But I also did have a lot of injuries and illnesses over the years. So I often wonder, would I trade more consistency but not the same highs for, the highs that I did have? But I probably still would never trade that world title for.
No.
Yeah.
It is a bit like how I look at like Alistair Brownlee, and like for him he was either super good or he was injured. No, like it's a bit how they trained, I guess, like really on the limit. And he either was like super good, and he did though, like for all the major events, he seemed to be able to crack it and be on the start line fit. It seemed like he also was a lot fucked, no?
Yeah. Well, and like that's an interesting point, because I actually wanted to talk about it like in this podcast today, because I listened. I don't know whether you ended up either of you listened to that podcast that Jan has now started. I think it's Going Mental or Frodeno Mental or something like that. And his first guest was Alistair Brownlee, and he was quoted in that podcast saying, I'd feel like it was an aberration if I got to the start line at 95%. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to get there at 99.9%. And of course, if I got there at 101%, that's part and parcel. And I guess it begs the question, or it got me thinking a little bit, we're probably all the same in some point, and a lot of elite athletes are, is like why do so many professional athletes rather chase 99%, knowing that the risk of being at 101% ends up in a stress fracture or being injured or a season lost? And and Jan and Alistair both spoke about this of a missed season hurt way more than any win ever felt good. And I don't know, like they never had an answer. Like they never got to the bottom of why most elite athletes at some points are wired that way. But I just wanted to get, mainly your take on it, Non, around, I guess you did probably chase 99.9% of the time and fell victim to being at 101% and had missed seasons and missed races. Like, yeah, what's your take on that?
I think it's almost comparable to an addiction. So you're chasing that ultimate high, and the risks that you're willing to take to get that high often mean that the come down or the consequences are pretty bad. So you can link it to any addiction, really. That you chase that high, but to get there, you risk having major lows. And it's really hard to describe that sort of feeling when you're in a flow state in a race, you're feeling great, you're at the front, you're pushing the pace, and you cross the line first, and you get that win. Like it really happens quite rarely in an athlete's career. Obviously, you lose more races than you win, but that feeling is so good that you're willing to take risks to get it. And I also always think, and this kind of what I related to myself, like you're almost chasing or sort of quelling demons, I think, things that are pushing you to keep proving yourself. Like, what are you actually proving, when you're an elite athlete? But you want to prove, I don't know, this to yourself or to others, how good you are. And I think there's something inside, and I call it like an inner demon, but I don't know, you could describe it as lots of things, I guess, but that's pushing you to do things that are really unhealthy, really, when you think about it. And I guess that's how I would interpret that.
Yeah, and I think, I guess if I look at it from my perspective as well, is like, yeah, the risk of being at 101% was real. Like, I think, it was a bit of an injustice to the investments and energy that you put in if you just turned up at 95%. I think, obviously it didn't always end up at 101%. Sometimes you did reach at 99% and it went well. And so I think, it's one of those ones, like it's an interesting topic. And I guess now with the coaching hat on for both of us, it's probably more most of the time you would be striving with your athletes to try and get to the start line at 95%. And then on occasions, I guess, maybe strive for that 99.9%. Is that sort of how you look at it now as a coach?
Yeah, I think it's the role of the coach to keep the athlete on the right side of 100. And obviously you want your athletes to do well and you're on that journey with them, but ultimately you're not the one on the start line and it's not your journey and your career. So you're able to have a bit of a different perspective on it. Like you're not the one running down the finish line and having that high. So the coach can be a bit more rational about it and provide a bit more context. And I guess the most successful athletes are the ones that learn how to control that inner demon so that they do get to the start line, maybe at not 99.5, but 98% more often. And it comes with experience as well and sort of learning to control that urge to overdo it.
Yeah.
I feel that also comes for me, at least, with like age. I feel like when I was younger, I didn't think too much. I just wanted to train hard and like every session try to like prove myself a bit, or like I remember towards the end of my short course career, I was always trying to hit the same times as previous years, where now like I don't care too much anymore. I just do my training and I feel confident enough that I will be good at racing. And I feel like last year, a lot of the races I maybe wasn't 100%, but still very good. And then you also have the room to improve for that like important race to be really aim there to be 100%, or because in the end, like you also, if you overdo it too much and you're injured too often, that will also have a very negative impact on your like overall success at the end of your career.
Yeah.
But that's what you said in the beginning. No, if you would trade those very highs of like more average races, but in the end, like if you're always injured, like probably it makes sense to back off load a bit more, and you're gonna have overall like a lot better results at the end of your career.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at, say, Alistair, obviously he was injured quite a lot and he missed quite a lot, but he also got it right when it mattered. But that could have been very different, and he may have a very different perspective if he had the same philosophy of chasing 99.9% of the time, all the time, but he got it wrong on the times where it mattered most. For him, whether it was, obviously there was some luck in it, but obviously good planning and good people around him meant that, the two biggest races of his career, he got it right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, but then also missed a lot of other time and a lot of chunk in between that. So, I guess maybe, obviously, his perspective of it was worth it. But it may
You
be
never
different.
know what his career would have been like if he would have trained a bit less on the edge, I guess.
Well, that's a question.
You don't know.
I'd love to have him on the pod, but that's a question I want to ask him. Is
Well,
like,
it's also very hard to answer, isn't it?
yeah, well, I want to ask him, like, because obviously there are many ways to skin a cat, and his philosophy and the lead's philosophy, which we'll get back to in a second, was like, you train as much as you can whilst having the key sessions, like making sure they are still good quality. And so for him, and for mostly Alan and John, that was like 30, 35 hours a week. But I want to ask him, like, was that what made you good? Or could you have done it on the Matt Hauser 22 hours a week? Was Alistair just that good that regardless of the program, the outcome would have been the same? And I don't know. And it's probably really hard to answer. But yeah.
Well, we can ask Non. Alistair pushed her up the hill, so they have a good relationship. So maybe she can convince him to go on the pod.
Well, it's a similar question to you, Non, because you were quite high volume, and like, do you think your results were a product of that training? Well, they are, obviously, but do you think you could have got the same outcome with a different approach?
For a start, I think I'm very different to Alistair. So the interesting thing about Alistair is that he was so much better than anybody else. Did he really need to push himself that hard all the time. Actually, if Alistair had been at 98%, he probably still would have won and potentially won more, but it'd be good to have his opinion on that, like you said. I think the reason I got good so quickly was because I came into this high volume environment and threw myself into it, and I was able to absorb the load really quickly and for a long time until I wasn't. So I just kept doing more and more and more, and it was fine. I just kept getting better and better. And then all of a sudden it started falling apart. I think the reason why I got to where I was very quickly was because I was able to tolerate that. But then once you've had success off something, it's really, and I was still young. I was only 24 when I won the world title. Once you've had success off something, it's really hard to look at other ways of doing it. I think, especially when you're young, and you're not able to sort of have a wider lens perspective on something. And everyone was so caught up in the hype of what we were doing in Leeds that it was hard to see outside of that, I think. Because I hadn't grown up riding a bike, I'd stopped swimming for 3 or 4 years, or maybe a bit more, 4 or 5 years. I think the high volume approach was good for me because I needed to get that background in cycling and done pretty quickly. And I don't think I'm a sort of a talent like Matt Hauser, or another example is George Taylor Brown, super talented. They can do maybe a lower volume program because they've also got that sort of edge on that natural edge on everybody else. I don't think I am that. I think I was just somebody that grafted and got there through hard.
But I guess that's also a talent, not being able to, I guess at one point you got injuries, but before, like you said, you could handle all of load. I guess that's also part of being a talented athlete, though, right?
Yeah, and your mental ability
Yeah.
to sort of commit to something and tolerate the load. And I hope that what I just said didn't make it sound like Matt and Georgia don't work really hard. They've worked exceptionally hard. They've worked exceptionally hard for what they've achieved, but they are naturally far more talented than I ever was. So I don't think I could have got away with doing their program.
Matt Hauser wasn't that talented when the breakaway went away in the crit last night and couldn't chase it down. Where was the talent there, Matty?
Well, he did have an all-time 1 hour PB, you said, right?
Well, Strava said that anyway.
Strava said it.
No, but so you obviously moved to Leeds. We said, but around 2009? 11, okay. And then the following year, 2012, you won the Under-23 World title in Auckland.
You both won
Yeah.
Under-23 title in Auckland.
Yeah.
In the same year.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Cute.
But I just didn't
Was
go on
meant to be.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't really know each other then. But then what I didn't manage to do was then go on and win the senior world title the following year, which I think you're the only female to do it. Alistair's obviously done it
That's crazy.
as a male.
I think Alice is the only male and I'm the only female that have backed
Yeah.
up. So every year when the
Yeah.
female Under-23 winner, I have a look at who it is and think, oh, could they take my
You're just hoping, you're just praying. Who won it last year? Who won it in Wollongong?
Rochelle Hill.
Oh, no, okay.
So it'd be really good actually if Rochelle did step up
Come on.
and win the
It's
senior
about
world
time
title.
someone did it again.
It does seem like a big step, doesn't it?
It is a big step,
Like,
actually.
It's impressive that you did that.
Do you think it's a
Did you-
smaller step now? Like, do you think less people are doing Under-23s now? No?
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah. So you think, I meant to say, do you think
It's
it was a
harder
smaller
now.
step? Yeah, harder now.
Oh, I think it's
Do you think-
potentially harder now. Yeah.
Because
yeah.
like a lot, the competition at Under-23 level is quite high. Like to win that anyway, you were already probably going to be competitive in the elite race. at
Yeah,
the
but
time.
I think in 2012 I finished 5th in Stockholm World Series.
Mm.
So, and that was a big breakthrough performance for me. It was also the first World Series post London. So arguably the field was probably weaker because I'm sure not everybody showed up, or at least showed up in their best form.
Yeah.
So maybe a bit of a skewed result, but I was just starting to knock on the door of being
Yeah.
competitive on the highest level. But yeah, I think maybe now the Under-23 fields are a little bit more competitive. But still, then I had to make an even bigger jump from under 23 to senior.
Yeah.
Who was second and third in the under 23s?
Second was
Sabrina
Sarissa
de
de
Vries,
Vries
the
from
Dutch girl.
Netherlands.
Yeah.
Did we not? We probably butchered that
Sarissa de Vries.
pronunciation.
De Vries.
De Vries.
And then Joanna Brown from Canada was third.
Yeah.
Um,
Who trained with us with Joe
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
a bit.
I think I got 6 in London, so it wasn't too bad. So
6
in 2013. So from 2012 to
the grand
20
final.
in the grand final.
Or overall.
Not overall, but
Oh, okay.
I spent like 2 weeks in hospital that year, so I didn't have a good ranking. But
Okay.
yeah,
Otherwise,
so-
you probably would have won as well.
maybe I think so. Yeah, that was the
That's
end.
what
We'll let Javier know that.
Yeah, we'll let Javier. So, well, he's already got what, 8 world titles, so
Yeah, he can lose one, no?
he can take one. He can give one away. No, but winning at home must have been pretty special. Is that like a career highlight?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think you can beat winning probably the biggest race of your life in front of a home crowd. And the noise was deafening. I mean, I didn't race London 2012, and I've heard that I was in the crowd, but it's probably very different when you're the one racing. But yeah, the noise was insane, and the number of people sort of hanging over the barriers, shouting in your face, iPads in your face, was incredible. And to have all your friends and family there. The weather was typical British weather. It was awful. Going into that race, actually, Gwen was leading the series, Annie was second, and I was third. But the points were so close, it basically came down to whoever wins on the day. So it was a fairly high pressure situation, I guess. But because I was third, I think the spotlight wasn't on me; it was more on Gwen. And that battle between Gwen and Annie, and back then social media wasn't quite as big, so it probably wasn't built up as much as it would have been these days. But Annie had an awful swim, and Gwen unfortunately crashed out on the bike. And I say unfortunately because obviously you want to be there to race against the best people on the day, and I'd actually be really interested to see how that would have unfolded, because I ran pretty quick that day, so it'd have been good to have
With
that
a penalty?
with a penalty. I think I ran
What was it for?
33:03, including
wow.
15-second penalty. No carbons.
Wetsuit out of the box. I think.
Yeah, I didn't get my wetsuit in the box.
Damn.
But it was like one of those days where like you can't get your shoes on your feet because your feet are so cold. You can't feel. It was like running on stumps for the first 5K.
Yeah.
But what many people probably don't realize is that in that 2013 year in Hamburg, you crashed whilst leading the relay team, which was at
I remember this.
and broke your elbow. So most of your camp in St. Moritz leading into London was done one-arm freestyle.
Yeah, well, I wasn't allowed to swim for about 2 weeks. I had to just kick with my arm on a board and fins. And then I was only allowed to do single arm with fins on. I wasn't allowed to ride my bike off the turbo for the first 2 weeks, because if I crashed, it would have displaced the fracture and it would have been surgery. So, the build up to London was not ideal.
Rough.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I think we had Stockholm 2 weeks before London, and I didn't swim well because I had obviously hardly swam, and the boy drifted, so we swam about 1900 meters, I think. It was a really long swim, and then there's also cobbles in Stockholm. And my wrist was still really sore from the crash, so it definitely wasn't the ideal prep, but maybe that took the pressure off a little bit and meant that Annie and Gwen had it all on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think because it would have been nice to race them, but I guess being there after the swim and being able to navigate in hard conditions on the bike is also part of being a triathlete. So
Yeah. And I guess that, like, when you had that injury and you were talking about all the things you did, it's kind of like, and a lot of people have I think followed off the back of that since, but it was very much that was the lead's ways. You just found a way. Like I remember, before, I don't want to keep talking about Alistair, but like I know you've learned a lot from them, and so like I'm sure when you had this injury, you thought, okay, well I just need to find a way to do something, and you even did it yourself in 2014, where you put a cleat to the bottom of your boot when you're injured to then be able to go riding still, but in a boot. Probably wouldn't suggest that now because of the real big imbalances that.
If any of my athletes are listening, do as I say, not as I did. I mean, we found ways, and that's the beauty of triathlon, right? If you're injured, there is normally something that you can do to keep yourself ticking over. And Alistair and Johnny were a huge influence on my career, and they shaped a huge part of my career. And probably, I might not have had the success that I had early on, without their influence. And I think it was actually Alistair who made that boot and then passed it on to me. So I did get in trouble for wearing it, actually. But
you talk about do as I say, not as I did, and that any of your athletes are listening, do that. Yeah, don't do that. But it comes back to that initial conversation or the topic we were talking about a couple of minutes ago around that risk versus reward. Like, if you're going for a world title, you do whatever you can to get into best shape. And the risk of, in that instance of wearing a boot whilst you're injured, I know this wasn't leading into London, but it's like, what's the risk? Okay, there's a lot of imbalances here. One's higher than the other. I'm also injured. Maybe I make it worse. But what's the reward winning a world title at home? It's like you're always balancing it up. And, if you're a younger athlete listening to this and you're thinking the same thing, it's like, well, what's the risk? Well, the risk is what we just said. What's the reward? I go and race Rabina Super Sprint. It's like the reward doesn't match the risk. So that's why you would never recommend athletes coming through and at younger ages to do stuff like that. But when you're going for world titles, when you're going for Olympic qualifications, when you're going for these type of things, you got to weigh it up a little bit differently.
That's it. That's life in a way, isn't it? The greater the reward, potentially the greater the risk, or the greater the risk, the greater the reward. So, and that just sort of elevates, I guess, as your career progresses.
Yeah. And then, so obviously you won world title in 2013, up there, career highlight, to probably one of, especially at that time, your toughest years in the sport. So 2014 was a complete write-off.
Yeah, I didn't race at all in 2014. I was actually in the best shape of my life at the start of the 2014 season. I'd done a pretty incredible winter of training, and went to a 10K near Manchester, and I wanted to run as close to 32.0 as possible. And I think I went through halfway in under 16 minutes, but literally as I ran through the halfway point, my plantar fascia tore and I literally heard it rip. And to be fair, it had not been great in the build up to it, but I was so set on wanting to run this fast 10K, which now looking back is silly because that's not what I was, I was training to do triathlon, not to run a fast 10K.
We just spoke the risk versus reward.
Yeah.
The risk was you'd miss the season. The reward was a made run to under 32. It's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it. But so tore my plantar fascia, and off the back of that, I was booted, and off the back of that, I had so many problems that I just ended up not being able to race the season. And my first race back was May 2015 in Yokohama.
That just dawned on me then.
Yeah.
So your last race before that, you got a penalty.
Yeah.
When you won the world title for the same thing.
Yeah.
First race back, you got a penalty for the same thing.
Yeah.
You had 18 months to try and learn the lesson.
I know, yeah, and I didn't learn it.
Yeah.
We have a saying in Dutch.
Fool me once.
No, a donkey doesn't hit his head to a stone twice in a row or something.
I did.
Yeah. So that means, you're dumber than a donkey.
dumber than a Dutch donkey or a Belgian
donkey.
Belgian donkey. Can you say it for our Dutch listeners? We're starting to grow some, so say the same.
Eldesteen.
Got it.
Trust that you said the right thing then.
So I actually didn't translate perfectly to what I said, but anyway.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So then, that was 2015. So, you had a really good 2015. You qualified automatically for the 2016 Rio Olympics, which is, well, not even arguably, but was the hardest criteria at the time, which was podium in the test event, podium at the grand final. You ticked that off also alongside housemate and good friend Vicky Holland. So it's actually quite incredible that two people are able to do that from the same country in effectively the same races. And, well, the podium was... in both races were the same, with Gwen Jorgensen winning both of those. So you obviously then finished 2015, back, I guess, with sights then for 2016. This is kind of where, well, not kind of, that's where 2016 is where we then got together. And
it all went downhill.
Yeah, pretty much, to be honest.
At that moment, I was living in Australia, you're living in
the UK.
So I guess I had an insight in some respects, but I didn't like fully get to see everything because at the time we'd made a commitment that would see our own training environments through to the end of 2016 and then reassess how things were going. But 2016 started off well. WTS,
I tore my calf in January.
yeah, but then but by April you'd then won a WTS at the time in Cape Town. So
T50 in 2 years.
sorry, don't start.
Don't start, Yella. That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, you must have been okay. We're on here.
Yeah, definitely. You can't ask for a better start to Olympic year by winning the first World Series. I think it's the first World Series of the year.
Where was this? Sorry, did I?
Cape Town.
Oh, I was there.
2016.
Little
no,
Yella.
maybe I was 2015 actually that I was there. Or 2014.
It was a sprint and we finished on the track.
My first ever WTS was in Cape Town. It was not good. I got left.
Flora came second or third, and Jodie Stimpson was also on the podium. I can't remember which positions they finished. So yeah, it was a really good start. And then I definitely got caught up, I think, in sort of pushing too hard for the Olympics. I think I had I think I had a fairly smooth run into the games, but I was always...
You crashed in Stockholm.
Oh yeah, I crashed in Stockholm and thought I'd broken my arm. That's true, but I hadn't, thankfully.
So that was would have been 6 weeks before the Olympics, I'd say.
Yeah, it was wet conditions and probably being overcautious because the games and just slid out. Then I guess training at altitude went really well, and then we had our camp in Pirassununga in Brazil, which was about 2 hours or 3 hours outside of Sao Paulo on a military base. And I just probably made all the mistakes that you can make going into the Olympics, in that I overtrained, I pushed everything too hard. I was just looking for that sort of verification that I was in shape. And some of the track sessions that I did were my best ever track sessions, but I think as a result of that, I just went in flat. Overcooked. Yeah. And just didn't deliver the result I should have delivered on the day. And it was a really...
Saying that you still came fourth, right?
Still came fourth in a sprint finish.
2 seconds from a medal.
Yeah. Probably the biggest regret of my life. But
also, you're not it, Aaron.
Yeah.
But what is the regret? Like,
I guess the regret is that I went from 99 to 101.
Yeah.
And if I'd hit it 99, could I have won the race? Maybe. I mean, Gwen was a very hard person to beat, but I think on the first couple of laps of the bike, she was really hanging on.
Yeah.
So if we'd been able to, and the plan had always been to force the break, but Helen didn't make the break, and as in she was in the second pack, and Vicky had been sick all night, so she wasn't feeling great, and so that plan just never came together. But equally, could I just won a medal? You know, I think whilst it seems a bit defeatist, I probably would have been happy with silver on that day. Gwen was at that time dominating, so she'd have been very difficult to beat on the run, I think.
But also that race, wasn't it like Nicole Spirit came a bit out of nowhere?
Yeah.
She didn't race...
back from nowhere, I guess.
Yeah,
she was an Olympic medalist
yeah.
for you, yeah.
But she didn't race much leading into the Olympics, no?
No, she'd had a baby between London and maybe 2 or 1, between London and Rio, and so she hadn't raced much at all and was a bit of an unknown identity, but at the same time she was Olympic champion, so it wasn't like it was completely out of the blue, but she just hadn't featured the year before, and I guess really just disrupted the dynamic. And
did you have her like as one of the contenders, or were you surprised to see her being so strong on the day?
No, I think we'd always earmarked her, and I have a pretty distinct memory of her coach being on the sideline shouting really random stuff, and for some reason I feel like it's something like hot soup or something like that, so they obviously had some sort of code for what she was doing. We spent a lot of the race trying to counter-attack what Flora was doing. We always kept thinking Flora was going to attack. So there's a few times she sprinted up the front and we were trying to close those down. Because at the time, Flora was still sort of coming through. You know, she hadn't been quite as dominant at that point, but was starting to podium and be at the front of races and was known as a superpower on the bike. So, yeah, there was a lot of dynamics at play. But I thought when we got off the bike that I could run for a podium.
Yeah. And like taking a step back as well a little bit, you mentioned the mistakes you made a little bit within your training, but also you probably didn't deal with the pressure leading in that well. Like I remember we were all obviously both there for different countries, different teams, but just happened to be that our hotels, because like we stayed at the village before the race and then moved to the hotel closer to the race site, but you guys were just out there the whole time. But your hotel was literally just down the road, and we competed a day before you. And I remember after you said, "Can I have some sleeping tablets because I'm just not sleeping?" So like and your doctors wouldn't give you sleeping tablets. So I had to like hand
Sneak
over.
'em.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it was like I gave an envelope because I had security on the door. I gave an envelope to the security guard to hand to you just so you could sleep.
Yeah, I probably didn't sleep properly for about 2 weeks going into the games. And that's going to have a huge impact on your performance. Everybody knows sleep is essential, not just for performance, but getting through day-to-day life. So yeah, I had really disrupted sleep for at least two weeks going in, and I just put way too much pressure on myself. I wanted it too much in a way, and I think that is possible. You know, there's always the cliches about you've got to want it more than anybody else, but at the same time you've got to be able to control that want, and I just didn't. So yeah, I'd have loved an opportunity to go to another Olympics and sort of right all the wrongs that I made, and unfortunately I never got that opportunity, but hopefully I can pass on some of those lessons now.
Yeah. And so obviously, yeah, I'd say that was post Rio was not just the toughest moment in your career, but probably life as well outside of that. And even for me, being with you, like you're really someone that doesn't show people how you're really feeling. Like you hold everything in quite a lot. So I don't think I even realized the extent of what you're going through because, yeah, I mean, I think you feel like it becomes then a burden on other people. But how did you cope with that period? And I would say, let's call it probably a 2-year period there. Would you agree? Of where you were really struggling with it?
18 months maybe. But I think I was functioning depressive. You know, I think I was suffering with depression and anxiety, but I was functioning, but just not functioning well. I think there was once or twice we were out on a bike ride and something really small happened and I just would burst into tears and wouldn't be able to control it so there'd just be certain times where I just wasn't able to suppress it. And there would be, the only reason I think I would be getting out of bed in the mornings is because you were getting up to go swimming. So that was forcing me sort of to get up and just go through not that you were forcing me, but to go through the motion. I was literally just going through the motions.
Yeah.
And I hit pretty, I would say, close to rock bottom.
When do you think that was? I try and think about when I feel like it was, but when do you think it was?
Probably a few months into 2017. Halfway through 2017.
Yeah, I would have thought a little bit later. I felt, if I look back now, it's all
a bit of a blur, to be honest with you. But I think I wasn't performing either then in 2017, so that was just adding to it all.
But
and
I feel like you were in a way almost self-sabotaging some of those races.
Oh, absolutely. There was Hamburg where I just did not want to be there. And I can remember going for a warm-up run and thinking, I'm not going to go back. I'm just going to keep running. And nobody, they won't be able to get hold of me, so they can't make me race. Anyway, obviously, I start the race and we get off the bikes and I'm in the front running with the top group of girls. And I almost because of the negative mindset that I was in, I removed myself from that race. And I think I finished, I can't remember, 5th, 6th. So still a solid result. But if I'd have been more present and in a good mindset, I probably could have podiumed. But yeah, the mind is obviously a really powerful tool and a powerful driver for everything that you do. And I had niggles, and I definitely let these niggles get on top of me, and was the reason that I didn't recover from them was because I was in such a mentally bad place. I wasn't allowing myself to recover.
I guess it works in two ways, no? Like your mentality can really help you, but then also like with you in this period, like really the
Impact,
opposite,
yeah.
counter.
Impact you. Yeah. I'm conscious of time, so, but you obviously, you got yourself out of there, and without putting words in your mouth, but I think in big part to joining the JFT crew where our paths crossed.
When was this? Was this 2018?
Yeah, end of 2018. Were you on that camp in
He was, yeah.
Fuerteventura 2018?
Yeah,
before Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my first camp. Basically, I needed to remove myself from the situation that I was in. There was nothing necessarily wrong with Leeds or what was going on there. It just, I needed to take myself away from everything that had been my life up to that point. And Joel offered me that opportunity to come into his squad. I don't think he had any idea at the time of the mental place that I was, but just meeting new people and training with new people, having a new coach and a new direction. The training philosophies weren't that different to what we were doing in Leeds, but it just literally gave me a fresh start. And I don't think saying it saved my life is probably a bit dramatic, but it absolutely got me back on the right track and kept me in the sport for a few more years. And I'm really grateful to Joel and Drew and the whole squad, whether they knew it or understood it or not, sort of the impact that had on that period of my life.
Yeah, and I think, like, if we want to call it non 2.0, kind of started to flourish from that moment. And 2019 was, you
won Hamburg.
You're competitive in almost every race you're in. I don't think you podiumed in another race, but there was a couple of 4th, 5th. You were back towards the non of 2015, 2013, parts of 2016 as well. And then you obviously had knee surgery, which at the end of 2019, which pretty well wiped you out of contention for 2021. And I guess my question is, how did you not go back into that place of 2016 where you could be off the back of 2016, so back to 2017 non? How did you keep? I guess
it was such a bad place that I knew I didn't want to get back there, and I think that period of my life had given me perspective on, triathlon means a lot to me, but it should never be your whole purpose, and there's so much more to life than just winning triathlon races or winning any race. So I think I just had a bit of a better perspective on it, and I did think that injury would kind of finish my career, and that I think I didn't think that I'd be able to motivate myself to get through the rehab, but I'm really glad I did, because I was then able to end my career on my terms, which I think is a real privilege, because not everybody gets that opportunity.
Yeah. And I feel like you had this mindset that this is like, I've got one last rehab in me. And I saw what you're doing. You were on the turbo in altitude masks to I guess, like, I don't know, make it harder for you.
Well, I was only allowed to ride at, initially I was capped at 100 watts, and I was capped at 120, 150. So I was only allowed to spin my legs because of the surgery that I'd had. So I was like, right, well, how do I get fit doing that?
So basically you're doing that at the top of Kilimanjaro.
Yeah, effectively.
You were up. I remember it was really, really high. And then
so is this prior to Tokyo Olympics?
No, it was actually prior to Tokyo Olympics, but the selections had already been made. So the 3 girls were selected in 2019.
And obviously at this time, we didn't know COVID wasn't a thing. So we thought that Olympics were 2020. Anyway, pushed back to obviously
Yeah.
to 2021. And then you decided to end your career in 2022. And I would say almost non 3.0
Maybe.
in 2022 comes around because, yeah, like I for me, like one of my best memories in sport, like All In Triathlon, is actually your win at the European Championships in 2022, your last ever race for Great Britain. You obviously had a couple of months earlier, or a month earlier, a Commonwealth Games medal with your beloved
2 weeks earlier.
2 weeks earlier, beloved Welsh team which took down Australia. And then you got to finish your career by being European champion.
Where was this European?
Munich.
Munich.
Ah, yeah.
You raced?
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
And I remember watching it on the BBC, and I guess we've referenced it quite a lot around the risk versus reward and the 101% versus 95%, and not necessarily saying that you went into that race chasing 99.9%, but like, was it all worth it? Was everything that you went through, the moments in 2017 where you wanted to retire, where at the end of 2019 when you had an injury and thought that your career was over and you fought back and said one last time, was standing there and winning that race worth everything that you went through?
Probably yes. I think that was such a euphoric moment because it had been such a tough journey, and it was actually a really tough European course, and the field was really strong because it was actually the French. The French were using it as some sort of selection or
But
simulation
wasn't
race.
it also a
The games
yeah,
situation.
like with cycling, and there's more sports there, right?
Yeah, and the crowds were insane,
Yeah,
weren't
yeah,
they?
yeah.
So it all kind of came together at the right time for me. And yeah, do you know what? It was all worth it because I think my experiences have shaped me into the person that I am today. That doesn't mean to say I haven't got regrets about some of the stuff I did in my career, and I wish I'd done things a little bit differently at times. But I think you have to be able to move on from that and look back and look at all the stuff that you did do well and that did go to plan, and all the amazing moments and experiences that I've taken from triathlon, and I'm still benefiting from now, and taking forward into my current sort of career.
Yeah, well, that's a nice segue because we're going to move into your coaching career now anyway. So before you actually finished your race and you had your job with British Triathlon lined up, which I don't know, maybe helped make the decision of retirement in that year, how was that stepping into the assistant coaching role in Leeds? And I guess you hadn't had a lot of coaching experience whilst a lot of triathlon experience. You stepped into an environment where you were now then working and coaching, not always directly, but there was Olympic champions, well, within the relay, obviously Georgia, and Olympic medalists within the squad. Were you intimidated by that, or?
I don't think so, because these are the people that I'd been surrounded by, my whole career. The athletes were the same, the staff were the same. It was a really natural progression for me. My life didn't change much. A lot of people talk about when they retire, they feel a bit lost. And sort of going cold turkey from your sport is actually a really difficult thing to do. And some people need it, but I think for me, I still loved triathlon. I just couldn't physically or mentally do it anymore at a professional level. And it was a really seamless transition, I think. The head coach Reese and the rest of the team there made it a quite nice transition for me, sort of slowly introduced me into working life and gradually built up my responsibilities. And I think because I knew everybody there, it wasn't as intimidating as it could have been. I was still nervous the few times using a stopwatch and giving people technical feedback. And I think it was a transition for everybody there, staff and athletes as well, for seeing me as something different. But yeah, I feel like for me personally, it was the best kind of way for me to step away from my professional career.
Yeah, and I think it's not easy when you're have to then all of a sudden coach the athletes you used to train with, no? Like, because you have you have a bond as friends and training partners, and then you all of a sudden need to be, I guess, a bit above it, and like they also need to, at some degree, like listen. Like it's not like a child has to listen to his parents, but it is like you're still setting their training and advising them on a lot of stuff. So yeah, not so easy, I guess.
Yeah, it's an adjustment for everybody. I
Yeah.
think for athletes and me, and I think we sort of muddled our way through it probably for a bit, and I think found the sweet spot. And you know that was different for different athletes. But I think that's true of any coach-athlete relationship. That relationship is different depending on the athlete's personality, their needs, their age and stage, and sort of their own personality. So yeah, every coach-athlete relationship is different.
And then you moved, so you spent 2 years over there in Leeds, and now you've moved to the Gold Coast to set up the Australian Ascent Academy, which is targeting athletes to be ready and prepared to perform. Well, yeah, not just perform, set standards really high to win in Brisbane 2032 Olympics. What has been the biggest change, and do you feel a greater responsibility now?
The biggest change has gone from being assistant coach to head coach. So when I first arrived, it was just me. But then Daniel Unger joined a few months later, and then we've become co-coaches of the Ascent Academy. So it's been, for me, great to have a bit of independence and a bit of freedom of thought and direction. You know, I wasn't the head coach at Leeds, and you know, it was great to work under and alongside some brilliant coaches and learn and develop. But for me, it's also been really good to step away and stand on my own 2 feet and make my own decisions of direction. And I've taken a lot of what I've done as an athlete and as a coach in Leeds and brought it here, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know, Leeds has probably produced the most Olympic medalists and world champions of any, well, certainly of any country, but probably of any group, or one single training group. So, you know, there's definitely stuff that I've taken from that. But sometimes I get a bit overwhelmed if I think too far ahead about what we need to do and the steps and progress that we need to make to deliver on, I guess, the KPIs of 2032. But I then just try and bring it back to, okay, what do I need to do in the next day, week, month, and just really focus on the now. And the main thing is creating an environment that the athletes enjoy, that they have fun, but they work hard and they want to come into. I don't want to ever force people to come into the environment. So I want it to become an aspirational thing that people want to come and join because it looks fun and we're having fun and having success as well off the back of that, because obviously it's all about performance at the end of the day.
This might be a little bit of a deep question, but what keeps you up at night?
Aaron,
Yeah,
you're snoring.
Yeah. He's snoring mostly. No, he doesn't snore too bad actually. It's actually worrying about any athletes that I've got that have niggles or injured. We had a few sort of pretty big injuries in the first few months that I was here, and I just always worry about, was there a part that I played in that? What could I have done differently? And you know, I'm not saying that they necessarily were a product of what I'd done with the athletes, not being here that long, but it's still, you worry about your part that you might have played in that, and also just worry about the athletes because you know how rubbish it is to be injured, and for some of them miss a home world champs. So it's probably me worrying about the athletes that keeps me up at night, or overthinking what the threshold set's going to be.
Well, that's, I guess, the cost of caring, right? And you're someone that really does care, and you know, I can attest to the fact that when you had a big injury, was a fairly sizable injury for one of the athletes here, only 4, 6, 8 weeks, something like that, before World Champs. You know, I think there was probably a 4-night period there where you hardly slept because, yeah, you're worrying about the result of firstly the scan, and then well, how the athlete's going to deal with that, and everything that comes off off the back of that, and I think, maybe it's a big strength, but also maybe a bit of wouldn't say weakness is the right word, but it's certainly something that I guess you have to manage because, whilst you always want to care for the athletes, it's sometimes out of your control as well.
Did you have to bring an envelope with sleeping pills again?
I kicked her out of the bed because she was ruffling, tossing and turning.
I have to go to the
Really?
spare bed. He's like, stop moving.
No, there was one night she was just like
Boy,
up
it's
and
me.
down and on her phone, off the phone, and then when because she can't sleep, she'll be like playing games or like messaging people in the UK because and she
true,
like
true.
taps away at the phone like.
I don't know
Like-
if you'll hear that.
No, I held up to the microphone, but just tapping away.
But who would you say, as a coach now, has your biggest influence? Like,
I'd say all the coaches I've had over the years of my career have influenced me in some way and I'm really lucky that I have never had a negative coaching experience. I've had some brilliant coaches and some brilliant role models and worked with some fantastic people. I would say the people that I found the most inspiring are probably Malcolm Brown, who was the head coach of Leeds when I was there. And he's probably the most calm, relaxed is probably the wrong word, but calm influence on a training group. And no matter what was going on, he wouldn't rise to it. He'd sort of be the calm in the middle of the storm. And always sort of said the right thing and had brilliant philosophies on coaching people. And also Joel. I really like some of Joel's coaching philosophies around minimum effective dose and saving bullets for racing. Even though I used to get really frustrated sometimes that he'd make me run so slow on the track.
well, you kind of not do it anyway, no?
Says you.
Fair enough.
Who had the most speeding fines, you think?
Yella, definitely.
Well, because I was there for longer, but
per days?
none.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so, well, that's everyone?
Yeah, those are my two biggest influences.
That's the two biggest.
But you're hoping for getting mentioned there. Or?
Yeah. That's why I went silent for a bit, because
3 months into his coaching career.
yeah, indeed.
yeah, I mean, you do bring no, you don't bring a lot home, but we do discuss quite often some stuff, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to when you're both very immersed in the same world. And yeah.
But
Is it hard to sometimes get away from triathlon?
Yes, definitely. I mean, my husband does triathlon, my work is triathlon. A lot of my spare time is dedicated to voluntary roles within World Triathlon and Europe
It's
Triathlon.
voluntary.
So
Thought you got paid for this. Huh?
No.
Hey, we wouldn't be renting this house if
Yeah.
we'll be on the mansions up in Surfers Paradise.
So yeah, it's really hard to switch off, and I have to have a word with myself sometimes to be like, get off the laptop and go out and do something that's not related to triathlon.
Get a kid. That helps a lot.
Get a kid. That sounds like a lot of hard work, Yella.
Well,
Yeah.
it is. No, but it keeps your mind off triathlon.
For sure. Gives you
Until they
different
do triathlon.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Until
Gives
they
you a
start.
different perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us.
No worries.
It's only taken us over a year to get you on.
I know, yeah. I know where I stand in the pecking order.
No, it was going to be last week, but then,
I couldn't do it because I had interviews.
yeah.
But it's only going to be her. No, remember, because we had
Yeah.
someone cancel.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
It-
I was the emergency backup option because a better offer, and I'd been replaced by a better offer already. So.
But then now this person is ignoring us. So.
Yeah, indeed. We'll see.
I promised last week, so yeah,
Yeah.
you'll have to kind of pull some strings. Maybe there's another Belgian star you could get on.
Might need to fly to Belgium, huh?
We'll get Martin back on.
yeah. You said a star, no?
Yeah.
No, poor Marta.
Yeah. But no, thank you for joining us. It's been great to have you on. Before we wrap up, Yella, we won't. There are some voice note questions, but we've already been going for a while, so we'll save them for next week. But Strava
Yeah, I had
Strava Club. So if
someone
you're
send in.
well, if you're listening for the first time, maybe some people
Okay,
are
so,
not just non-fans and not ART fans.
Yeah, true. We have a recurring segment. I think this is the third time where we highlight someone that stood out in our Strava club. And I actually got a guy. I actually need to find the photo because I didn't properly document it in the Google Doc. So he turned 58, and for his 58th birthday, he did 58 laps around the track. In Thailand heat, that adds on it, no?
That is-
knowing like how hot it's here in the
And was
Gold
it
Coast.
the 10-year Prio track? Because that's a 500-meter track as well.
Phetchaburi, Thailand.
That was good pronunciation. I'm quite impressed with that.
Well, how
I'm
do you
a-
know how we spell?
Well, it just sounded legitimate.
I'm a polyglot. I speak two languages.
Me too, then.
You speak also.
Welsh. That
Cats.
doesn't count.
What? It's a completely different language.
God, we're going to have probably a fair few Welsh people listening to this podcast, and you've just insulted how
But
many
I
million?
love the flag.
4 million.
4 million.
How many sheep? is that what-
Probably 6.
Yeah.
There's way more sheep than people in Wales, for sure.
You'd say there is because there's not that many people in Australia compared to the size of it. You think there's more snakes than people?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah?
I think there's more snakes than people, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of snakes just in the middle of absolutely nowhere that no one lives for hundreds of miles.
There's not many people that live here, considering the size of
That's
the
what
No,
he
land.
no,
said,
yeah,
yeah.
that's what I said. They all live like,
27 million, maybe?
and it's like
Not,
Belgium has-
95% of the population live within like 25 kilometers of the coastline.
yeah.
And our
That's
country
crazy.
is huge. Like,
Have you ever been in the middle?
No, I haven't. No,
Spring.
Alice Springs, yeah.
Spring.
But there's a lot of Australia we want to explore. But yeah, on to my Strava pick.
It's a good one, actually.
My one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you think it, you like it.
I like
So
it.
Nicola Macken, he is my pick.
Sorry, my tummy's grumbling.
Yeah, you might need some food for the threshold swim.
Nicola Madden, well done on getting a Strava pick for this week. He uploaded 4 hours of snorkeling in the Great Barrier Reef. So, I mean, I don't know if that's crimes against Strava policy of like uploading your snorkeling. What do you think?
It's that's something triathletes would say, I think. No, if it's not swim, bike, run, it doesn't go on Strava. I think that's a very triathlon
Thing.
He's technically swimming.
I don't know. Is he?
What?
How far did he cover?
Yeah, how far did he cover in his
No,
4
and it was a
hours?
manual upload as well. So we can't even
It was a manual
we can't even
upload.
tell. He could have just like I could say I just hiked Kilimanjaro, and no one would know. So anyway,
Yeah.
he's getting my shout out for snorkeling the Great Barrier Reef, but also I'm questioning whether
It should be on Strava or
it
not.
should be on Strava or not. But
And if
Probably
he actually did
shouldn't,
it.
yeah, any of you actually.
but- Yeah, true.
Non, who's yours?
Myself. Because I'm the only person I know on AIT.
Are you? Have
I
you
am
joined?
a member of your Strava club, yeah.
Okay.
What was your
Um,
most impressive session of the week?
Today up at Runaway Bay on the bike track, I did a little bit of the session with the group and hang on for dear life with the girls. I had to cut a few corners and not do a bit of the technical pieces because I needed a bit of a recovery, but I'm on the slow comeback.
But you also joined in for their threshold run the other day, right?
No, I was just jogging around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I didn't do that. I'll get back to running fast-ish at some point.
Any goals?
I'd love to do another marathon, but my knee is a bit iffy, so we'll see.
Yeah.
I need to run a sub-3 marathon because my time from London is embarrassing.
Well,
Yeah.
you overcooked it a bit there. didn't
Slightly,
you?
yeah.
Yeah. I remember
Um,
following that.
First half in 2:30 pace. No, not quite.
First
2:45.
5K was in 2:30 pace.
Yeah. Right. No, thank you for joining us. We'll let you go because you guys have a threshold swim set to get to. Remember to we still have the Precision Fuel and Hydration vouchers
Yep.
to give away this month. So we have another couple episodes. Keep those comments coming on Spotify to be in the running. Again, we're just randomly picking 2 winners.
It is random. 2 episodes ago, you said if it's funny, you'll have more
Oh
chance.
yeah, but I mean more. I just mean it'll be funny. So it'll be random. Right. Thanks, and we will catch you next week for next episode. All right. So we did actually get this one voice note question in that was specific for Non, and as she won't be on the next podcast, we thought that we would quickly answer it at the back of this one and add it in. So here we go. We'll play this one and then both Non and I will answer
Mark
it.
from Belgium. Sorry, Jelle. It's a question for Non and Aaron. Who would win a 2-on-2 mixed relay if you had to race Hanne and Hayden? No other teams involved. Looking forward to your answer, as to every edition of the All In Triathlon podcast. Who basic?
Who beze? I don't know what that actually means, but maybe Yella can translate for us. But Non, do you want to go first?
I mean, if it was right now, it would clearly be Hannah and Hayden, being as they're both still active professional athletes.
Let's put the caveats around it that we are all four of us are in our prime.
I like to think that we could back ourselves.
And actually, what distance? So if it's
mixed team relay distance, he said.
Oh, did he say mixed team relay?
Over a 2 mixed team relay.
Oh yeah, 100% us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question. And I'm not even. Yeah, if it's a mixed team relay distance, we're winning.
What's your? Give some reasons, I guess.
Well, I just don't think over that distance. Well, again, actually, now who finishes? Who's finishing at the moment? Male. Male finishes at the moment.
At the moment, male finishes, yeah.
Okay, now Hayden and Hannah win.
You think Hayden would bike you down? Because I think I could put a decent amount, at my prime, a decent amount of time into Hannah.
Yeah. Well, how much do you think you put into her? No time to be modest.
90?
90 seconds?
It's a 20-minute event.
90 seconds? Well, if you do that, then no, we win by a minute. But yeah, okay, we're backing ourselves, we win. End of.
Maybe I've been a bit ambitious there.
Sorry, Hayden and Hannah. Better luck next time. But we are the couples world champs, so
yeah, we're the reigning couples world champions. So
yeah.
Well, I'm not sure it was world champions, but champions.
No, but it's an American thing.
Okay, so definitely world champions.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's all we needed to do. We just wanted to follow up that with that question, and we'll get to the rest of the questions that came in on next week's episode. Ciao.
Bye.